America, 1975. The town of Willow Creek, Indiana lived its quiet life. Farmers heading to the fields at dawn, children rushing to yellow school buses, and in the evening, the steady hum of crickets filled the air. But that winter, the streets seemed to hold their breath. In just 2 months, 4 people had vanished. They disappeared at night. No calls, no witnesses, no trace. First it was Carol, the young librarian. Then the mailman, a college student, and finally, the sheriff's deputy. No one could explain what linked the victims. Newspapers spoke of a serial killer. Residents bolted their doors. At the center of it all was Daniel Harper, a quiet accountant. He was an exemplary citizen, paid his taxes, never broke the law, and dined alone each evening at his old oak table. His neighbors considered him odd, too quiet, too reserved, yet polite. One night, Daniel woke to a loud bang. It was as if a door had slammed inside his own house. He rose, but found no one. In the kitchen, the lamp was on, and on the table lay a blood-stained knife. Daniel didn't remember touching it. He didn't even remember getting out of bed. Strange things began to pile up. Keys he didn't recognize in his coat pocket. Torn scraps of women's letters with stained corners. Waking up in roadside motels, unable to recall how he'd gotten there. He sought help. Psychiatrist Dr. Richards listened carefully and said, "This looks like dissociative identity disorder. Another person might be living inside you." To Daniel, it sounded insane, but the blackouts grew worse. A voice inside his head whispered, "You're weak, Danny. Real life begins only when I take control." The police soon found their first solid clue, a bloodied glove behind Harper's shed. The sheriff, an old family friend, didn't want to believe it. The townsfolk began to murmur. The quiet accountant, could it really be him? Daniel began to fear himself. He locked his bedroom door at night, trying to keep the other side from escaping. But every morning, the locks were broken. His hands were scratched. Dirt clung under his nails. Sometimes strange hair lingered in the bathroom sink. The more he resisted, the stronger the other became. February. One night, police surrounded an abandoned warehouse at the edge of town. Inside they found a fresh pit, the bodies of the missing buried together. On the ground lay Daniel's boots. His fingerprints were everywhere. They arrested him. In his cell, he rocked back and forth, insisting he remembered nothing. The trial was swift. He was sentenced to death. But a week before the execution, Dr. Richards returned to him. "Daniel," the doctor said, "I must confess, you're not sick. This was never about an illness. It was an experiment." The truth spilled out. Richards was part of a secret program. Under hypnosis, test subjects were implanted with alternate personalities. Killers, crafted to be used as weapons. Daniel wasn't a monster by nature. A monster had been made inside him. But that wasn't the most horrifying part. On his last night, when Daniel glanced into the mirror in his cell, his reflection smiled first. And that very night, a guard went missing.